So today we are going to talk about how love really does provide, and I'm going to give you many different examples of what I'm talking about. Welcome in if you're new here to the channel. This channel is dedicated to spiritual truths, daily guidance, and deep soul healing. So what I'm talking about here is that love really can provide in so many ways. So the very first example that I'm going to give is back in the day when I was married. So back in the day when I was married, I was in love with my husband. And when I think back through those years when I was really, really, absolutely just in love with him, we made more money in those years than any other time in our marriage. And so when it kind of got towards the end, a long drawn out process, but when it kind of got towards the end, the last several years, the love really dwindled because I found out, he's cheated and, he'd been lying and all of the things. And that really, because you no longer have trust, you no longer have faith in that person, the love dwindles down. And then, when I eventually found out the actual real truth, all of the love was gone. Now, why am I telling you this? Because it was significant. Now, when you look back, you see these things after the fact. It was significant that when I stopped loving him, we started struggling financially in comparison to what we had previous to that. We were fine, but all those extra huge bonuses that would just come in and be like, what? You just made how much money today? Right on. All that went away. It just went away. Now, why is this? When you have support. So I went out for coffee with someone this morning and they said something, and so it got me to think about this, which is why I'm doing this podcast. But they said, I asked them why they quit doing something that they'd been doing previous. I said, well, because I didn't have the support. My partner wasn't supportive of what it was that I was doing, and so eventually I quit. And this is so true that when we do not have that support, meaning love, then we need it. We need that love to get us through, especially when we have a partner. And support is love, right? Because if your partner is super passionate about something and you're not supporting them, you're not loving them. That's what this is. There's a lack of love that is there, because don't you want your partner to be happy? Don't you want your partner to succeed? Of course you do. But when the lack of love starts coming in, just like I had towards my husband, all of a sudden, these things change. And I knew, so my ex, he was not happy in the career that he was in. And towards the end there, I kind of didn't care. It was like, well, I guess you got to figure this out. What am I going to do for you? And I see now, really, what he needed was support, but he wasn't going to get that from me because of what he had done, and the love was gone, and blah, 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 blah. So what I'm saying is, if you have people in your life that are not supporting you, you need to let them go. Because there are going to be people who are going to come in your life and they are going to support you 100%. They're going to want the absolute best for you. And these people are your people. They're your people. But you know how you're not going to get them? Is by keeping around people that don't do this for you. Now I'm going to tell you the science behind why. So if you allow people to be in your life that are not supportive of you, first of all, you only have so much energy in a day, right? Let's say you start out at 100%, and that 100% is the size of a watermelon. Okay, so just imagine your energy is a watermelon. Ridiculous, I know. Anyways, so let's imagine here that we are using 30% of that to go to work. We are using another 30% of that to associate with these people, or to do this or to that, and the other, 40% to do whatever it is that we're doing within the day. 40% maybe is our, extracurricular, whatever it is that we're doing. This is just a total fake scenario. Anyways, so that 30% that you are giving towards people, that's huge. That's freaking huge in a day. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of energy. And so if you are giving 30% of your time and your energy to something that is not fully supporting you, You are wasting that energy. It is literally just being drained out of you, and you're going to feel a certain way. You're going to feel let down. You're going to feel like, what's going on here? Why do I feel this way? Why do I not feel satisfied with my life? Why do I not feel fulfilled? And when you are not supported, and you are allowing those unsupportive energies, maybe even discouraging energies, to be in your life, you at that time, when you are experiencing that, I want you to just switch gears here for a second. So I want you to imagine that you are in an unsupportive environment, and just notice physically what that does to your body just by thinking about it. Right? It instantly lowers. You can feel yourself kind of like, get that almost depressed feeling, it's like a feeling of lowliness that goes inside your body. And it immediately drains away your energy, right? So if you're allowing 30% of your day to be in this low vibrational state, in this low energy, then what you're actually doing is putting that frequency, that low frequency, out, right? And it is imbuing all of that empty space that's out of there, and it is creating more of that same energy through magnetism, because your thoughts are electric, and through magnetism they are returned back to you. Jesus called this reaping and sowing, that you reap as you sow. So if you're sowing these seeds of this lowly consciousness out here, when you're allowing yourself to be in those unsupportive energies, you are creating more of that. You're creating more of it through your acceptance of it. By saying, I'm going to accept this, the universe is like, all right, let's give more. They're accepting it. So if you don't want that in your life, then you're going to have to let them go. Now, I know that this can be difficult, because sometimes this can be family. And sometimes people have a hard time. They might have a person in their family who's really draining, really depressing, and every time that you talk to them, they complain about something, they got something negative to say, and every time that you're around this person, that conversation lowers your vibe, it lowers your frequency, and you are now operating out of that, and you are now sending that out into the universe, and you are going to get more of that, even just by allowing those lowly conversations. Now, you believe that you are doing this person a favor by allowing these low conversations, but are you truly doing them a favor when you know that not only are you going to suffer because of it, and have to suffer through listening to it, but this person is creating more of that negative stuff in their life. So you're not helping them out. I mean, you don't want to offend anybody, and you don't want to say, hey, you negative butthead, why do you just keep being so negative? You don't want to be rude, but at the same time, you are not doing this person any favors by allowing them to continue on the way that they are, and by supporting them in that right. See, you are supporting them by being there, by listening, but what are you getting back in return? Now, imagine this. You got a watermelon size of energy in your day, and that 30% that you usually use on those people that you need to let go of, you are now using that 30% on people that are very supportive of you. So now this extra 30%, now these friends, these people, people in your community, whoever they happen to be, this social interaction that you're having, uplifts you every time, or it at least doesn't lower your vibe. And every time that you interact with it, it helps you. It helps you in some way. You're creating good in the world, right? We're creating an era of peace and love, and it's our every loving thought that is a transforming influence on this planet. And so if that's the vibe that you're going with, which that's my vibe, then we're trying to create heaven here on earth. And so anything that is counteractive to that is not creating it, right? It's like, oh, I want to make this beautiful craft here, and here's all the supplies that I have. And someone goes, oh no, why don't you use these supplies? But these supplies are crap. And these supplies are going to end up with not the product that you want. This is essentially what you're trying to do when you're trying to do something and accomplish something and get something, but those lowly energies that are not supportive of what it is that you're doing, it's like they're giving you the wrong supplies to the craft that you're trying to produce. And therefore, you can use those lowly supplies, but you're not going to end up with what it is that you intended and what it is that you want and what it is that is possible for you. And why? Ask yourself this, why? Why are you so passionate about doing that thing that you want to do? You usually can't explain your passions, right? It's just, well, because I like it. There's this internal drive that's inside of me that's pushing me. I don't know why it's there. Well, why? Because it's divinely given to you. There's a reason why you're passionate about certain things. And if you have people in your life that are not supporting those things, then these people are lessons for you. They're not lifers. Are you friends with the same people that you were friends with 45 years ago? Probably not, right? Maybe you weren't even alive 45 years ago. I don't know. But you know, you're probably not friends with the same people, or you might have kept a couple. And why did you keep those couple of people? Well, because they are supportive. They accept you through everything, no matter what, right? Those are your people. But if you allow people who let you down, or you come up with an idea and they crap on it all the time, even though it's a great idea, or you want to do something and they talk you out of it, what they're doing is they're taking away from the potential that you have and the potential that is divinely given to you. And we will be sent tests, throughout our life. Is this really what you want? Because at one point it was. Right? Those people, they came into your life and you did want them in your life at some point. But people change. And maybe you changed. Maybe you grew and they didn't grow. People have to grow with you or you outgrow them. Now, this is not to say that you're better than anybody else. But this is to say that the company that you keep really matters. The people that you surround yourself really matters. I know when I was a teenager, which is hilarious to think about now. I got up to no good. I got up to no good pretty often. And my one friend, who's a doctor now, she got me into all kinds of trouble that I would not, sneaky secret trouble that nobody even knows about to this day, but she got me into all kinds of trouble that I would have never done on my own, of my own fruition. Never in a million years. I wouldn't have gone to the places. I wouldn't have hung out with the people. I wouldn't have done the things. Not in a billion. But because I was with her, I did it. So the company that you keep really does affect you. Now, I've had many people tell me, so I'm going to give you a couple different examples. I had somebody tell me, I got to work with this person every day, and they work real close to me in the office, and they are the most negative person I could possibly be around. And it is draining, and it is exhausting, and they never have anything good to say. Okay, there's example number one. Now, this person is at work. So what are you going to do? Are you going to go tell your boss, hey, this person's so negative, I can't work with them? Well, maybe you could. What do you do in a scenario when you have to deal with this person? It's not a choice because you're working with them. Okay, well, there is options, and sometimes we do feel like we're stuck. Now, how seriously is this person affecting you at work? How much of your energy, percent-wise, be honest, is this person draining from you? Okay, 10%, 11%, 12%, 50%? What is it? Well, if it's extreme and if it's severe, you need to do something about it. You must do something about it. Maybe you need to go get another job. Maybe you need to go work somewhere else. Because you think that these things don't take their toll. You know that it's taking your toll because it's bothering you, but you don't really realize the extent of what these things really do to you over long term. There was a study that was done, and it showed that there was a 40% decrease in productivity when there was just one negative person put into a group. And this was a short-term study. This was done over a very short period of time that showed how much the productivity went down by that 40%. I think the study was like half an hour and a half, something like that, and they observed all these different groups. So what do you think that that's doing to somebody long-term, if there's that huge of an effect in the short term? So your productivity way down. Maybe you want to mention this to a boss. Maybe that person needs to go away. Second example, you have somebody that's in your family. Maybe this is a sister. And you've got to deal with them all the time, and they're so negative, and it drains you. I had a client who told me about this, and I've had many clients who have told me about the negative person in their family, and they just have to talk to them every single day, and they got to listen to them drone on every single day, and then every time that they are done dealing with them, they feel completely depleted, depressed, and lowly. And so what do you do? Oh, this is my family. Well, you know what? I had someone in my family, and she would call me and she'd tell me all these horrible things years and years and years ago, and my ex at the time said, you cannot talk to her anymore. It's like, what? Well, it's, my cut, like, I have to. He's like, no, you actually don't have to, and every time that I come home that you have talked to her, I can tell because of how severely it affects you. And so he cut me off from her, which, you know what, I was actually, after the fact, thankful for that. I didn't realize how extreme it had been affecting me until I stopped letting it affect me. So sometimes we need to let them go. And I know that they can be family, but we need to let them go. And it means like, no, we're not going to talk to them. Sorry, I don't have time today. Sorry, I don't have time today. Sorry, I don't have time today. Whatever it is, you need to sometimes let these people go. And I know that that can be a very difficult thing to do. But what you are experiencing when you are with them is a lack of love, a lack of divine alignment. And so anything that is lacking in love, it's not for you, man. It's not for you. And I don't know how many times I can say it, but if there's no love there, it's just not for you. It's not meant for you. It's not supposed to be there. Because the opposite of love is fear. Right? So there is fear that is present, right? If you have somebody in your life, a family member, and there's all this lack of love that they're spewing from their mouth constantly, well, you have a fear of letting them go because you're not operating out of love. You have a fear that, they're never going to change. You have all these beliefs, all these things that are around this person. And all of them are lacking in love. But you might say, okay, but I do love my whoever it is, sister, mom, aunt, whoever it happens to be. I do love them, and so I don't want to let them go. I want to be there for them and listen to their negative stuff because I really love them. Okay, well then you're going to have to figure out the balance of that. How are you going to do this? Are you going to allot a certain amount of time? Okay, I'm going to allow myself to be lowered down for half an hour once a week. Whatever it is, you need to make decisions. But here's the thing that you'll notice. The longer that you separate yourself from the people that you need to let go of, the better you feel. Because you're now not allowing yourself, like we've talked about previous, when someone comes up and they are having a conversation with you and it is a lowly conversation, you are now manifesting at that level. You are manifesting at the level of the now, of the now, of the now, of the right now in the second. How are you feeling right now? This is the level that you're manifesting at. So when you allow these people to come in and to have these lowly, fear-based conversations or these negative conversations, you are lowering yourself and you're allowing it, and you are then manifesting and creating at that level, and therefore you're going to get more of the things that feel like that coming into your life. Is this what you want? If it's not, you need to let them go. Now, I know that this can be difficult, but here's the thing. When you do let them go, you have now made space, right? You cleared up part of that 30%. Okay, maybe they took 12% of your day. Okay, well, now you have a whole 12% that you have freed up. And let me tell you about it. It is going to be filled almost immediately with something else. And so then you get to choose, okay, well, all these other areas are good, and I don't want this negative thing anymore. Okay, and so when you're high vibing, because you've now let them go, and so you're not allowing those conversations to drag you down and manifest at those levels, and you're keeping yourself up at a higher level, well, you're going to get something because you let that thing go. You're going to get something that's at that higher level that's going to come in. So this will be a new relationship, this will be a new friendship, this will be a new person that can replace that old. Now, I know you fear opposite of love, that won't happen. Right? And your experiences in the past, have they not dictated for you that when something went out, something new came in? Look back at your life. Out with the old, in with the new. It's how it works. So don't let your fear get to you that it's not going to be replaced. I'm telling you, I'm guaranteeing you, something else will come and replace it. So now, I let a person go recently. Every time that I had to deal with this person, I could just feel myself getting stressed, my energy draining. Like it was a very stressful ordeal. And so when I let this person go, it was within 3 hours that I got confirmation that I did the right thing. And it was basically almost immediately that I've had new, wonderful people coming in and taking up all that space that I used to give to that person. What a wonderful gift it is. This divine love and the way that the universe works is just a wonderful, all of it's just such a wonderful gift that when you let go of something, you get something else. You get something new, something better, something, whatever it was, the reason why you let that thing go, well, now you're going to get the thing that you want. And if something else comes back in and it's like that old thing, just know that this is a pattern that has repeated and there's something that needs to be healed here. What did you not learn? What did you not learn? What have you not learned yet? Have you not learned that your time and your energy is valuable? Have you not learned yet that your energy is yours and that it's only yours and that you get to choose who you share and give it to? Have you not realized how important you really are and that you light up a room when you're in it? And so when you light up that room, you get to be choosy. You get to choose. You get to decide who gets to stay and who gets to go. And I want you to choose for yourself things that are in alignment with divine love. Now, I'm not crapping on people, right? Because we are all divinely made. But I'm telling you, on your spiritual journey, sometimes people are here just to teach you a lesson. They're not here to be here for life. And there are people who are going to come into your life and they are going to be there for life. So do not fear that either. But we got both. Every single person that has ever come in your life, they're not all still here. You'd have thousands of people following you around, right? But you get to choose, and it's all deciding what it is that you actually want. And when you know what it is that you want, then you're safe to let go of what it is that you don't want, right? And identifying what it is that you don't want is the start. I remember several years ago, people just, it was a thing like, well, you just got to decide what you want. Well, what the heck does that even mean? I didn't even know. I didn't even know where to begin. And the reason why I didn't know where to begin was because where I was at and what I had, I guess, wasn't the thing. And I knew that, but I didn't know what the thing then was. But here's the deal. You don't actually need to know. As long as you know what it is that you don't want and you can let go of the things that you don't want, then new opportunities, new people, new things will come in and you'll be like, oh, this is what I want. So when you can identify, I don't want this, let it go. Let it go right now. Let it go immediately. Let it go today. Let it go. Because now you have this extra energy, this extra space. And things will magnetize to you and will come into your life. Blessings, divine blessings will shower down on you. When you follow what it is that you're passionate about, because you're passionate, and you can be passionate about a pile of different things, but there will be one thing where you don't lose that passion. I would say for myself, it's anything spiritual. Anything. It's been like this since my whole life. I don't remember it ever being another way. I remember running around the church basement, 4 years old, running over to my Sunday school teacher at the time, who still know this woman, friends with her. She's about 20 years older than me, love her. And running over to her, sit down on her lap, look straight in her eyes and said, people without Jesus really suffer. And then just ran back away. And, I was 4 years old, and I was speaking truth back then too, because it's true. People without Jesus really do suffer, because he came here to teach us about love. That was it. That was his message. That's what he was putting out. And so lots of the crap that's still there in the Bible, the only reason why it's in there is because the Roman Empire was lording their power over people and trying to control them. Jesus came with a simple, different message than what had been preached, which is why he wasn't accepted. He came and said, no, we are not doing this anymore. We're not doing sacrifices anymore, because this is barbaric and pagan, and these beautiful animals in which you are sacrificing were meant to enjoy life, just as you were meant to enjoy life. God does not delight in the murder and the death of his own creation. Never has, never will. And Jesus knew this, so he came in to be like, dudes, what are you doing? And so he starts flipping over the tables in the church, because he's pissed, and he's saying, you're collecting the sacrifices for this? These people are so poor, and you're telling them that they're going to go to hell if they don't pay for these sacrifices? What are you doing? What is happening here? And he came here to give a message of love. But it wasn't received in this way. It wasn't received in this way because there was too much indoctrination. And the Roman Empire held way too much power over the people. And they thought, well, if we listen to this guy who's healing all these people with this love, well, then we're going to lose all this money from all these sacrifices and from all these things. Okay, we're going to switch it. We're going to switch it. Okay, now you don't have to pay for sacrifices anymore, but now you need to pay. You need to pay this much money, and if you don't pay this much money, then you're going to go to hell. And when Jesus came, his beautiful, simple message was, you reap as you sow. So he went out and he was preaching to the people, and he said, what happens if your neighbor comes to you and he asks you to go and walk a mile with him? And when the men said, well, I would tell him no. I would tell him I'm busy and to go and find someone else. And he goes, okay. So what would your neighbor do if you then, a couple years later go to him and you need your neighbor's help, and you go to him and you say, hey, I need you to walk a mile with me? Well, what's this neighbor going to say? Well, the neighbor's probably going to say no, right? And you're not going to remember that you refused him. And so you're going to walk away and you're going to talk about how awful your neighbor is, and now your neighbor's going to talk about how awful you are, all because you refused him and you forgot that you are now reaping as you sowed in the past. And he's giving this simple message, and this was new information to these people. They had never heard any kind of preaching like this before. And because Jesus had experienced the love, like I have experienced the love, that pure love, like it is unbelievable. It is unbelievable. And what it does is it casts away any doubt that you have within you. Because once you've experienced it and you know that you know, there is no talking you out of that love. You know that it's real and you know that it exists. And the thing about that love is that it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. And so when you see someone suffering, now when I see somebody suffering, I know they are suffering because of their mind. 100% of the time, every single time, that they have shut themselves off from the divine, and they have done this through having lack of mind control, but not even aware that that's what they're doing. They don't even know that that's what they have done, that they are living in a self-created hell. Now, I know some of us have grown up real rough. You didn't have the greatest childhood, and so this impacts your life, right? And you will believe all kinds of things. You're going to believe that you're not loved, that you're not cared for, because you've experienced this in the past. And here's the thing about that beautiful mind of yours, is that it repeats things from the past. It takes these past experiences, it stamps them in there, and it goes, this is how it is. We need to protect ourselves from this in the future. And because you expect your past to come back and burden and wound you again in the future, it does. The experiences that you experience come from creations of the past, and they all begin in your belief. So if you could believe, and I'm telling you this so deeply and truly, if you could believe in the love of the divine more than you believe in any of the things that have happened in the past, any of the past traumas, any of those past experiences, if you could believe in just the love of the divine, it would be all that you will experience. Everything comes from our belief. So now if you were traumatized as a kid because your mom didn't love you right, or your dad didn't love you right, or somebody abused you, or somebody took advantage of you, or whatever had happened, and now, 20, 30, 40, 50 years later, you're still suffering because of it, this can be healed. This can be subconsciously healed. I would take you into a state, if we were in a private session, I would take you into the state, I would have you bring up that lowly feeling, that feeling of not good enough, or anger, or resentment, or whatever it happens to be. We would follow it back, and we would heal at a subconscious level, all the things, everything, all the things that come up. And it would change you. It would make you feel different now in the present day. And therefore, you will expect different experiences in the future, because the past is now cleansed and healed and viewed from a more true perspective of there's lessons that were learned, right? Because those things that you went through, they made you real strong. They also made you really compassionate. You have understanding when you see somebody else suffering, because you're like, been there, I get it. It developed so many things within you. There are so many benefits to all the suffering. And now I'm not saying that it's right, and I'm not saying that you weren't a victim of it when you were a child, if this was what was happening. But what I'm saying is, once you learn the lessons and you go back and you heal that past trauma, you actually heal it, and all the behaviors and all the beliefs around it, right? Because if you don't believe that you're valuable, you're going to display certain behaviors that are going to show that you don't believe that you're valuable and that you don't believe that you're worthy. They're going to play out. You're going to allow people to come into your life that are going to show you that you're not valuable and that you're not worthy, because you're putting it out there, and so it's magnetizing back to you. You're getting what you are. You're experiencing the vibrational level that you are at. And so if you want to change this, if you want to get into divine alignment, into the love, into the heavenly love, then you got to heal all the things that are hell. And there might be a lot of them. It took me years. I would say 10 years of doing deep subconscious work. And beneficially for myself, I can do lots of this work actually on myself. I, put myself into state and talk to myself like, I'm in third person, like, okay, now do this. Okay, now I want you to do that. And, can help to heal these things in myself. But I also needed people. I needed other people. You need another perspective sometimes. You need a different way of doing things than what you're doing things. Because if what you're doing right now is leaving you feeling not happy, you're not doing it right. Something needs to change. That's your sign. Are you feeling like you're loving your life? If not, then there's something that needs to be let go of. This could just be a belief. Very often, it will always be some type of belief, but very often it might not be a person, it might not be a whatever. It's just something that you're believing about yourself, or about your life, or about this experience here on earth that needs to shift or change. And once that perspective change has happened, then, visibly, the visible matter that you have in your life, that will begin to change as well. And so the changes that you want to see means you have to let go of something that is not that. So if you examined your life, what things feel low vibe and what things feel high vibe? So if I was to say the word money to you, what feeling do you have? Do you have a feeling of excitement and a feeling of upliftment, of joy? Or do you have a stressful feeling or something like that, a lowly feeling around it? Well, if you're attaching that kind of energy to your money, that's the kind of money experience you're going to have. So maybe there's a whole bunch of beliefs around your money that need to change. If you're not experiencing joy, like at the thought, at the sound of the word, then something needs to change. Okay, how about if I say the word relationships? How do you feel around that? Do you feel satisfied? Did someone pop into your head when I said that makes you feel not satisfied? Okay, because you were manifesting at that level of whatever the relationship, whatever that was when I said that word, you were manifesting relationships at that level. So if somebody popped into your head, when we've been talking about this here, and you're like, man, I feel like I need to let that person go, you're right. I can't tell you what to do. You have to choose and make decisions, obviously, for yourself, but I'm just pointing some things out for you here. Okay, now if I say career or your work, what's the energy that's attached to that? Are you excited? Are you like, yay, I got to go to work today, I got to help people, I got to do the thing that I love to do? Or are you like, I got to work? You know what I mean? So then you are, and keep this in mind, if that's your attitude, are you working 8 hours a day? And so then you are manifesting for 8 hours out of your day at that, I gotta work vibe. That's a pretty hellish vibe. And what you're doing by allowing that is creating more and more and more and more of it. So how do you change this? How do you change this? If you're like, okay, well, I don't like it and I want to do this thing, but I don't know how. What you need to do is get a different perspective about it. And when you can find out, sorry about that. When you can find out what it is that you want, because you know what it is that you don't want, if that was your reaction, was the lowly one to your job, but that's not the thing. You know, you're obviously, there's no passion that's there. Then you need to make a plan. You need to look at things from a different perspective of what can I do to change this? Okay, well, what are you passionate about? Okay, well, pursue that. Start taking an extra hour out of your day to do whatever it is that you got to do. And if you're like, oh, by the time I get to home from work, I'm so exhausted I can't even do it. Okay, well, then you're going to have to start to spend your weekends doing something else. But making excuses and not changing things will not change things, right? You can't have things change but then not actually change anything. So if you want something to change, you actually have to change the thing. And so let's say, okay, well, you're really passionate about making music, but you work all week and you do this job. Okay, well, on the weekends, if you're really passionate about it, if that's really the thing, then take the time and make the time and start doing the thing. Go out and get a business coach. How can I start to, get my music out there? How can I start to, whatever it is, whatever the thing is, spend your time doing it, because people can feel the passion in it, right? If you decide you're going to start, baking or making something like this, they're going to be able to feel the love and the passion that's in the food that you're baking. 100%. And so if you're not loving it, if you hire a whole bunch of employees and they don't like their job, it's going to affect the outcome. It's going to affect the work. It's going to affect the final product. And you can taste the energy of love in things. So if your passion is art and you're like, yeah, but how do I sell my stuff? It doesn't matter. Just start producing. Just start producing. Because if you're putting love into the art that you're making, somebody's going to see that. They're going to feel that love that you put in there. Trust me on this. They're going to pick up the energy and they're going to buy it, because they are not going to be able to walk away from that energy that is pulling them and giving them love. They're going to buy your stuff. But sometimes we're operating out of fear, which is the opposite of divine alignment. We're operating out of fear and we think, but no, what if nobody likes my stuff? What if it fails? What if I this and what if I that? Okay, well, you can live in the hell. That's the frequency of hell, is the frequency of fear. That's why they put it out on TV so much, because they're trying to feed the hell here on this planet through the consciousness. But if you're operating out of that frequency of fear, it's the frequency of hell, and you are now creating more hell for yourself, right? You're creating it in that very moment when you're thinking the lowly, hellish thoughts of, I'm going to fail, what if people don't like my stuff? But you're creating it here in the future because you are not stepping forward and you're not doing it. You're just creating more and more and more hell, more excuses, more fear-based excuses. So what if we were to make love-based excuses? What if we were to be like, you know what, I absolutely love doing art. And you know what, I bet if I love it this much, somebody's going to love my stuff. And you start operating out of that. And then when you go to start a page and to start, putting your product out there or showing up at an art show, and you show up and you just think, you know what, I did this out of love, and whoever buys my stuff is going to receive that love there in their home, and you start operating out of that place, that's going to shift and change everything, isn't it? It even feels different when I'm talking about it right now. And people can feel it. They can feel what you put out. The energy does not lie. And you do put energy in the things that you create. You put it in the clothes that you create, in the art that you create, in the food that you create, in the products that you create. They put it in everything. And people put love in their words, and you can hear it. You can hear that frequency of love. And so it really matters what it is that you're putting out. And if you're putting out hell-based frequencies, you're going to get more of them back. And if you're putting out love-based frequencies, you're going to get more of them back. So you really just need to choose and decide what it is that you want. But if you are operating out of fear of letting someone, something, some situation go, even though you know that it would be beneficial to you, well, if you want to change, then you have to make the change. And it can be scary to do these things, but here's how you can do it, is you can ask the divine for support in this. Like, you know what, divine, I have to work with this person every day and they drive me freaking totally crazy and I don't know what to do. Divine, I need your help. I believe you are going to deliver me help. I believe it. I believe it. I believe it. And if you have faith that the divine will deliver you help, well, what's going to happen? Either this person's attitude's going to change, they're going to leave, you're going to be provided a new job opportunity, there's going to be something. The divine is going to give you an out. They're going to find some way. You're going to shift your perspective in some way that you have not considered yet, and it's going to change things for you. Because the divine can do and does do everything, every good and wonderful thing for us. And so if there is somebody that you need to let go of, and you're like, all right, I'm going to do it. Well, when you're doing it, already give thanks and thankfulness that the divine is going to show you that you did the right thing and that you are going to get almost immediate confirmation that you did the right thing. And if you believe and you have faith that you will, then you will. It is plain and simple as day. That when you believe something and you have no doubt, this is the whole deal of the whole deal. When you believe something and there is no doubt present, that thing will manifest for you, materially, visibly. This is like when I was young, and I lived right on a farm, and we had a little creek right by my house, basically almost went through the yard, a little bridge down the way, and me and my friends go, and we get in this canoe, and we're trying to canoe up to the bridge, and it's real windy, ridiculously windy, and we're little weak-armed girls and couldn't get anywhere. No insult to women, I'm strong now, but we couldn't get up the river. And so I say to my two friends that are there with me, dudes, let's pray and pray for the wind to stop. And they kind of like gave me the look like, are you kidding, man? But we all went to youth group together, and I was like, well, yes, yeah, when you pray for something, it happens. And they're like, okay. I was like, okay, you pray, then I'll pray. So she prays, and then she prays, and then I pray. And immediately, and I'm talking immediately, the wind stopped. Dead. Completely calm as day. And they're like, what? And I'm like, well, let's go. Let's canoe. And so we canoe up the river, and I had asked that the wind would stop so that we could get up to the bridge. So as soon as we get up to the bridge and start pulling our boat over to the side, the wind kicks up again, and it's back to how it was before. Why? Because we didn't need the wind to stop for half an hour for the rest of the day. What we asked for and what we prayed for in faith, because I knew where two or more of you come together, there I'm with you. I don't need the two or more. I'm me. And I know that if I pray with absolutely total faith, with no doubt, which is how I pray now for anything, that it's going to manifest and materialize. This was proof of belief that we were witnessing. So there is nothing that cannot be done. Just like the other time when I needed the money, and all of a sudden this man who I didn't do nothing for comes up and hands me some money. This is like when my sister was like, hey, we can't get this motorcycle started and we've been working on it for hours. Can you just pray? Because when you pray for things, it happens. And I was like, sure, dude, prayed. It just started, just like that. Why? This is having no doubt. So if there is some area of your life and you're like, oh, I want this, but you've got doubt, you know what you need to do? You need to devote more of your time to the divine. You need to give more of your time to the divine. You need to meditate more. You need to connect with the divine more, because this is going to build your faith. And if you study the Christ letters, like I study the Christ letters, you are going to be illumined. It is going to illumine your mind. It is going to give you some insights that you perhaps currently do not have, and have you see things in a different way. And I was told very, very, very clearly up in my cabin that if you just pursue and that you never quit seeking the truth spiritually, then you will find it. It does not matter what avenue you seek to get down to it, but if you never stop pursuing, you're going to come across it, you're going to find it, and it will be yours. So thanks for tuning in here today. That is all that I got for you, my darlings. Love y'all so much. I'll see you tomorrow.